Next up, we have Jenny Farver, who is with 8Light. She's here to talk about why a diverse board is important and how to recruit diverse board members. Jenny, thanks for being with us, and I'll hand it over.
Thanks, Jackie. As Jackie said, my name is Jenny Farver, and I'm the co-CEO of software consultancy 8Light. We're headquartered in Chicago, here in Chicago, and we have about 130 employees in 6 cities in the US and UK. Our customers seek us out for our commitment to quality software. And a big part of how we do that is we do this crazy thing called training. We call it our Apprenticeship Program. And we hire classes of high potential software developers and designers. We mentor them in their craft. And we do that so that every 8Light developer or designer is fully prepared to carry our quality brand promise. Apprenticeship is the primary way we hire our technical workforce, and it's a critical part of our DEI efforts. So I recently joined 8Light as co-CEO after having served on its board for about 3 years. Before that, my past several roles have been as a CTO at various Chicago venture-backed startups. And I know the Chicago Blend Project through that network, and of course I am on the Chicago Blend list. At 8Light, our board is elected by shareholders, including employee owners. And we're currently in our election process right now. And yes, we use the Chicago Blend list to help us build candidates for the slate. Next slide, please. So boards can vary, but whatever they do, they should exist to ensure that the CEO and the management team are acting correctly. And that's a simple but really abstract and ultimately complex role. And it's at the heart of why diversity on corporate boards is important. What does it mean to act correctly? Who decides what is correct, and what are their values or priorities? And as far as I'm aware, there's no one professional path that has a monopoly on ethics, on judgment, on empathy, futurism, or even forecasting. So the question is, how can you bring in different perspectives to ensure that your company is, in fact, acting in the best interest of stakeholders, including shareholders? One thing that I've seen is that it does matter to our employee owners at 8Light that our board is diverse and representative. And in 2020, employees specifically asked whether and how our board monitors the company's DEI achievements. So yes, if you're wondering, are your employees paying attention to the composition of your board? Yes, they are. Next slide. So talking about building a board, my advice is to build a board as you would a team. And so remember that on a great team, there is challenge, there is contrast, and there is energy. And that's what gets the team to perform at its peak. So when you think about composing your board, ask yourself, are you bringing in perspectives that create that vibe? Next slide. I think we all have a few of the kind of classic archetypes of a board member, and those are kind of biased towards funders, industry heavyweights, entrepreneurs, and perhaps in your field, maybe even certain academics. But you can create that challenge, that contrast, and that energy by widening your search to other things that might really energize your board. Consultants who have seen it all, systems thinkers, media savvy influencers, managers, great managers, data people. And I would say there's a lot of value to even a voracious reader, somebody who reads everything, all the newspapers, all the bestsellers. That person is thoughtful and really knows where we are as a society and where we're going. So next slide. So my path to being on a board involved a few people opening a door for me. One was Paul Pagel, my co-CEO at 8Light, who several years ago started choicefully building a board for the company. And another was a mentor, Roger Liu, who connected me to the opportunity. And so you may not actually be the one building a board right now, but you can play a role in building impactful and diverse boards by thinking about who you refer and what is your role in referrals. Who do you know that energizes and challenges people, whether or not they match one of those classic archetypes? And when you're asked for a referral, can you encourage the search to take this perspective of an energizing, balanced team? My advice for approaching potential board members is just to demystify the opportunity. A lot of great potential board members may not know what to expect and would feel embarrassed to ask. So just being very transparent with how frequent are the meetings, what type of day, What's the compensation? How much prep work is there? And if you're referring, it's great to be actively available for potential questions too. Potential board members might want to know, how do board members typically make time away for their day jobs or board work, and just helping them with those answers. Beyond that, this is just like any other recruiting. So what's the pitch? And for me, being on a board member has been a great compliment to my day job, and it's really accelerated my career. That's a pretty good pitch. A board seat can help someone spin up on a new industry. It can also balance their perspective if their primary role is as an operator. Many of our day jobs are about passion and people and details and gotchas, but a board role can actually strengthen your ability to take a long-term perspective or to be ruthlessly objective in your business thinking, and that's certainly been true for me. And don't forget to sell the team. Working on a team with other talented people is a great part of being on a board, and I've certainly learned a lot from my colleagues, especially those that have come from outside the tech community circles that I usually run around in. Next slide. I think that's all I've got. So thank you, and happy to take questions.
Yeah, Jenny, that was great. I mean, you put together some amazing frameworks for how we should think more strategically about putting our boards together, and then obviously filling them in accordingly. From a super tactical perspective, we start a lot of our early boards with founders and funders. When you go through to add that first person who's independent, or maybe not, kind of like the natural person who's on the board, how can you seek out people that aren't directly in your kind of first degree network?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the network is effective, like friends of friends gets you to a really broad network. And so I think that's the key is, think about people who are in the farther reaches of your network and get the word out to them. And when you do that, make sure that they know that you're not looking for one of those classic archetypes, or you might not be, and give them some ideas that help them start thinking about, oh, who would be great here.
Jenny, this has been great having you. Thank you so much for your time and tactical tips.